We take a brief look at the Atlanta Hawks 21 games into their 2024-2025 NBA season, and they currently have a record of 10-11. They've won 6 out of their last 10 ball games, and they are currently on a 3-game winning streak. And this 3-game winning streak is big time because they were able to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers 2 games in a row. And we know the Cleveland Cavaliers, they get off to a very historic start this season to start the season 16-0, and they're also the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. So whenever you beat a team like that once and you're in a position like the Atlanta Hawks, people might say, okay, that's a fluke. And then you match up with those guys again in back-to-back matchups, and then you beat them 2 times in a row. That says a lot. So the Atlanta Hawks, they're riding a hot little streak right now, winning 6 out of their last 10 ball games. And this season is really interesting for the Atlanta Hawks, or it's really been, their situation has been interesting these last couple of years, because we look at them acquiring Trey Young and then what he was able to do so early in his basketball career, the infamous 2021 NBA playoff run where he was able to get all the way to the 3rd round, the Eastern Conference Finals, the round before the NBA Finals. And on his way to that, he beat the New York Knicks. And the way he was performing at the Garden, taking vows, things of that nature, playing great basketball, by the way, he became one of the most hated athletes in New York sports history. They hate Trey Young in New York. But with the Atlanta Hawks, when they were getting Trey Young, already kind of being in a rebuilding situation, and then you have him go out there and make that type of performance, it makes you kind of want to speed things up. You want to get some different role players around Trey Young. You want to try to go out, and because there were really no true other stars around Trey Young when it comes to like all-star or superstar caliber players, so the Atlanta Hawks, they've different players, and they also tried to bring in the DeJounte Murray, and none of these things seem to be able to get the Atlanta Hawks over that next hump, being able to get to the NBA championship. And now here we are in the 2024-2025 NBA offseason, and it seems like the Atlanta Hawks, with the way this roster is constructed, we know they hit the NBA draft lottery for the number 1 overall pick in the offseason, so it kind of seems like they're close to it kind of seems like they're more close to rebuilding than they are competing for that championship that they felt like they can compete for when Trey Young went on that infamous playoff run. But then also we have to take into the account how good of a basketball player that Trey Young is, because he does have the ability to lead guys. He does have the ability to lead these teams that doesn't have elite roster. So that's why I say it's a very interesting situation with the Atlanta Hawks. So I just wanted to put that out there, that they're in a very they're in a very peculiar spot, but it doesn't mean it's a bad spot. I think it's a really good spot to be in. And the more and more I watch the Atlanta Hawks, I'm really fascinated with the young pieces on this team. And the guy that I'm most infatuated with is Jaylen Johnson. I think this guy is so special, and I think the Atlanta Hawks, I think getting him with the 20th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, the way he's performing this season and the way he's elevating each and every game, I would say that this is a draft steal for the Atlanta Hawks. And just in case anyone was wondering, Jaylen Johnson, he attended school at Duke University, or the University of Duke. I'm not too sure on the order right now, but nonetheless, that is where he played collegiate basketball at. But one thing that's been really common with Jaylen Johnson since he's come out of college is his ability to improve. And I love when you can see a player improve. You go look at Jaylen Johnson. His first couple of years in the NBA, he didn't get to play too many minutes. He didn't get that much of an opportunity to showcase on an NBA basketball court. And when you can see guys not get that opportunity right off the bat, but you see them gradually becoming a part of the rotation, and you see them gradually getting more minutes, and then you see them become a starter. It's kind of like on the video game on My Career, when you have to start you have to start at the bottom of the rotation, and you have to work really hard. You have to work really hard in practice. You have to work really hard when nobody is looking. And with the way Jaylen Johnson has been progressing over the years, it seems like that's exactly what seems to be the case with this young, talented basketball player. And last year was really his breakout season for the Atlanta Hawks. He finally became a full-time starter, playing around 33 minutes per game. He averaged 16 points per game to go along with 9 rebounds. So a very impressive season. And this year, those numbers have continued to go up. So far on the season, Jaylen Johnson, he's averaging 20 points per game, and he's also averaging 9.9 rebounds. So I'm going to round up and I'm going to give him the nod for 10. So he's averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds per game. He's had 10 double-doubles on the season, and he's also had 1 triple-double so far on the season. And to put the cherry on top of his stats, at the power forward position, he's averaging 5 assists per game. And then also he's been pretty efficient this year. He's shooting over 50% from the field, 37% from 3, and 74% from the free throw line. So he has been a blessing for the Atlanta Hawks so far this season. So now that we got his numbers out of the way, now we can get to the fun part and talk about what makes him so special as a basketball player. Now, for me personally, I don't really know what jumps out first to me when I look at Jaylen Johnson. There's really 2 things I'm going back and forth on. I really love how athletic he is, and I love his size and his frame. He's 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, and he's 200. I know when he was drafted, he was 220 pounds. I'm not sure if he's putting on any more weight or any more muscle since then, but he's 6'9", 220 plus with a 7-foot wingspan, and he's supremely athletic. That right there alone, that jumps out to me. And then also you look at what really shocks me is his vision, his ability to be a playmaker. He is an elite playmaker. He knows how to read the floor, and you watch him play, these aren't just obvious passes. He's making passes that you see develop, that he's seeing develop before everyone else. Like, he's a step ahead. He's a step ahead of the defense. So I really love that quality. I really love that quality. You watch him with the Atlanta Hawks this season. He's getting into his bigs when they got a guy sealed in the post. He's throwing lobs to them. He's throwing full court passes. He's hitting cutters. He's hitting shooters. He's hitting passes out of the pick and roll. One action I really like is when him and Trey Young run that 2-man game, and they have Clint Capella on that deep baseline. He's such a good passer out of those short roll situations. So him as a playmaker at that size with that athleticism, that really stands out to me. And then in between all of that, you're getting so much more as a basketball player. We look at the strides that he's made on the offensive side of the ball. His last few games, he's knocked down at least two 3-pointers. He's hitting it at a very high clip. And then he has shown the ability to be a very versatile basketball player, offensively and defensively. We look at him on offense, he can post up smaller guys. He has a very good ball handle for his size, so he can take guys off the dribble that's bigger. And then he's good without the basketball in his hands as a screen setter and as a playmaker. So I'm loving him offensively. Same thing on the defensive side of the ball. We go back to his statistics. He's averaging at least 1 block and at least 1 steal per game. And you can put him on multiple. You can put him on multiple positions. You can put him on a post player. You can put him on a wing scorer. You can put him on a guard. So Jaylen Johnson, he's just 22 years of age. He's starting to get more and more NBA reps as a starter, and we see the more that he plays, the more opportunity that he's giving, the better those numbers are and the better that production is. So I wanted to give Jaylen Johnson the longest segment of the video because I am so infatuated with him, and I think he's going to be a star in the NBA for a bunch of years to come. And we can't talk about young talent on the Atlanta Hawks without bringing up the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NBA draft, and that's Zachary Risacher. I know I probably butchered that. I've heard his last name plenty of times, but for some reason it's not coming out of my mouth smoothly. But nonetheless, and I guess I'll be addressing him as Zachary so I don't continuously keep butchering his last name. But Zachary, we look at him as a basketball prospect. He played overseas in the same league that Victor Wembanyama played in over in France. So we've had back-to-back number one overall picks that came from the country of France. And we look at Zachary as an NBA prospect. One thing the Atlanta Hawks, they really loved about him was his size, and his size paired with his ability to knock down the to knock down the three-point jump shot. He is a really good three-point shooter. In the league that he played in overseas, he knocked down 40% of his three-pointers, so he can shoot the blood out of the basketball. He's 6'8", 6'9", with a 6'10" wingspan, so he has size and he has length on his arms, and then he's also fairly athletic for his size. He's an above average athlete for a guy his size, so this allows him to be a versatile defender as well. So the Atlanta Hawks, they ended up choosing Zachary with the number one overall pick because they feel like he's a player that can come in and make some impact right now, but they also feel like that potential is through the roof. If he can improve on his ability to become a better shot creator, we could see him become a totally different basketball player. But right now, he's a really good player without the basketball in his hands, running off screens, cutting to the rim, finishing around the rim. He's also a willing passer, a guy that's willing to make the extra pass. He knows how to play the game of basketball. He has a very good a very good basketball IQ. So I think right now it's definitely more of a developmental thing for him right now, but luckily for him, he was able to come into a situation where he's playing alongside some awesome talent. He's playing alongside Clint Capella, he's playing alongside Jaylen Johnson, and he's playing alongside Trey Young. So they're going to be able to be there to help keep up that pressure of keeping that team success up with being the number one overall pick, while he's able to get through those growth pains and develop. So I think they have a solid piece there with him, and then also they got a really good steal in a deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. They were able to ship off a player, DeJounte Murray, who, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of him. An exceptional basketball player, can give you a little bit of everything, and there's some things that he really excels at, like playing defense, getting steals, and setting up his teammates. His mid-range game was money as well, but it was obvious that it just wasn't a fit with the best player on the team, Trey Young. So they found a deal, and they were able to go out and get involved in this deal. They were able to get Dyson Daniels, who was a lottery pick by the New Orleans Pelicans, if I'm not mistaken. That's either the 2021 or 2022 NBA draft. I used to talk about the Pelicans a lot on the channel, and I was really big on Dyson Daniels when the Pelicans drafted him. But nonetheless, with this trade, they were able to not only find a younger player than DeJounte Murray, a player that plays the same position, but also a player that can go in the starting lineup and be effective for the Atlanta Hawks. And we look at DeJounte Murray and Dyson Daniels, they're kind of very similar with the way that they play and with the with what size that they are. But right now, that Dyson Daniels is not a point in his career where the basketball is going to be in his hands too often versus running the offense and creating shots for himself. He's not at that point in his basketball career yet. So there's really no rifts, no tension there. And what he's been able to be for the Atlanta Hawks so far this season, a pest on the defensive side of the ball, a ball hound. He's on pace to shatter the NBA, like leading the league in deflections. He's leading the league in steals right now. You go look at his game log. At one point, he's nothing but 6s and 4s and 5s, and now every game is at least 2 steals. So he has been ridiculous on the defensive side of the ball. So being able to find DeJounte Murray's replacement, for somebody who doesn't need the basketball in their hands as much, but still brings that so much effectiveness to the basketball team, his ability to rebound, his ability to play make, his ability to be effective without the basketball. I think this was big time for the Atlanta Hawks. So that's really what I wanted to touch on today. The young talent that the Atlanta Hawks have. I think they're going to be a very interesting, a very fun team to watch throughout the season because you have Trey Young. You have Trey Young shotgunning these teams so far this season. He's not shooting the ball too well to start the season, but we know at any given moment Trey Young can get super hot. But boy, he is playmaking. Those assist numbers for Trey Young, they're always crazy. The Atlanta Hawks, they're 4th in the league in assists, and they have multiple playmakers all over this team. Dyson Daniels, Trey Young, Jaylen Johnson, all willing passers. But if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe. Subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.